Now, when you first came to my attention, Janet was in the show Jigsaw. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, a few people remember it. As we've been on record before, and we have talked about this before in another podcast, the episode where I became a man was where you played Nell Gwyn, and it was O for Oranges, that's what I remember. You played Nell Gwyn, and you had a nice costume on. I don't know what it was that attracted me. I think I recognised a skittish spirit within you.
Yeah.
I googled today. I thought I'd quite like to see what all the fuss was about.
Your personal fuss. Yeah.
So I googled Nell Gwyn, Janet Ellis, Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And the only results that came up were me talking about it. So literally nobody else remembers it. There was no images.
No images?
No, I couldn't find any. I had a good look. Couldn't find anything.
Just the same with Charles I. That was his take on it too.
Were you aware when you were on that show what effect you were having on the burgeoning youth of the United Kingdom? No.
Luckily not.
And have many other people made you aware, or is it just me?
People have mentioned that they weren't entirely watching it to play the very simple word game that we were actually promoting. Yes, I thought they were. We had to find a 6-letter word, every week and get clues. And Nell Gwyn was one of the clues, obviously, oranges. So I thought they were
double O.
Yeah. But no, luckily I was not aware of that till later.
No, but it's a nice... Is it a nice thing? Is it a nice thing?
Oh, well, it's a nice thing to have done that show.
Is it nice that you have a legion of men like me that I still hold a candle for you, Janet?
Oh, that's so sweet.
You're my first love.
Thank you. That's a very nice...
If you want me to leave my wife and children, I'm happy to...
And I may say it's a very proud, erect candle, so
It is.
Well done you.
Well, not as erect as it once was. I'm nearly 56, and it's only got one bauble at the bottom now. It was an amazing show, though, Jigsaw. It was it really, there was so much in it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've talked about this before, but Nosy Bonk, which was not you, I hope.
No.
Because that's going to put me off.
No, it really wasn't. No.
Was one of the most extraordinary things.
Absolutely.
Hey, the name Nosy Bonk. I mean, he's a man. It was a man with an extremely long, phallic nose.
It was sold to me that the guy who took on that role, Adrian, was my co-presenter.
Yeah.
And he had, now keep this quiet, he had trained at Lecoq. That's perfectly reasonable. And as a mime, apparently that's a thing. And he said that this character was, I think, Belgian, explains a lot, and very distinctive in Belgium. And that's how it was sold to me. So we went off and made those little films. It never occurred to me that it looks it's quite Benny Hill-ish, actually.
Yeah.
He always ended up chasing me.
Yes.
Actually, now I think about it, that's really awful.
It was a very weird, it is a sort of weird face.
It is.
Someone's tweeted me today saying that it's been brought back. I don't know have you seen this?
What? No.
There's little sketches online. Nosy Bonk returns. If you want to check them,
Surely,
check them out. They seem fair. I mean, they're still sinister, but they seem fairly
back
harmless.
by the Association of Psychotherapists who have made a good living since that show. Yeah, no, it is a very odd one.
Yeah.
It is odd, but
But
I was told it was very special.
I think when it sticks in mind, I mean, it must have terrified a lot of children.
Yeah.
So, you were scaring us, turning us on. I mean, we didn't know what to do.
Just preparation for adult life.
It was, absolutely was. But it was an incredible cast. And you worked with Clive Doig on that as well, who was also he did so much children's TV at that time.
He was. He has the mind of an 8-year-old, which is a useful thing in children's television because he genuinely thought like a child, but very creative, very funny. Yeah, and Sylvester McCoy was in it, and David Rappaport, and Will Makepeace Lunn. Do you remember him? He was the inventor guy who... You wouldn't be able to do this now. He used to do all these effects in the studio. We had an invention every week, but they were slightly lethal. And I remember there was one where we had to put cotton in our ears because there'd be an explosion at the end of it. So we duly did. Then discovered what he'd given us to put in our ears was gun cotton.
Right.
And for anyone who knows, that's not what you do. That's the thing that is actually exploding. But anyway, yeah. But it was slightly... The whole thing was slightly heightened anyway. I'd only just had Soph when I got the job, she was literally, she was 10 weeks old when I started filming, which is quite a small person.
Yeah.
And we've rehearsed in London, but then because Clive had been banned from the London studios, because he's also really badly behaved, we had to record in Bristol. So we had to go down to Bristol.
Right.
And then the night before each show, rather looking back, rather unprofessionally, we would go out for quite a late meal all together in the restaurants that we also hadn't been banned from. Choice of two.
Right.
So... yeah.
I mean, it feels like there was I think I recognised a wild side within you, Janet. It feels like there was a wild person.
Unbeknownst, there was, yeah.
And I guess there was a lot worse going on in children's television, to be fair, but there's...
Yeah.
But I guess that's...
Compared to all that, squeaky clean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's sort of part of it, because you did have to be sort of fairly squeaky. Certainly, obviously, moving on to Blue Peter, which wasn't your natural. You didn't really want to become a presenter.
I didn't.
Right?
I absolutely didn't. No. But of course, this was before paparazzi and Twitter and all that stuff, which is hugely good fun, but made that everything that we did off camera stay secret.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You can tell us now, though, Janet, if you want. You can tell us all about it.
I thought I wouldn't have to bleep anything out, but maybe I will.
But you don't have to. I mean, where Richard Bacon got into trouble before Twitter.
Yeah, he did, but golly, I'll say golly, but really golly, because poor kid, 21 years old, stitched up by a friend. I mean, but do you remember that sort of broadcast about his misdemeanour where a very sober Lorraine Hegarty had to sit next to a bunch of daffs and say, Richard has let us down and let himself down. And he was stitched up by a friend, and he's such a brilliant presenter. Don't let him go. But he's done all right.
He has done okay.
Yeah.
It was very funny when he came on this as well. Yeah. So, I'd forgotten with Blue Peter how much kind of daredevil stuff you did.
Yeah.
I mean, you broke your pelvis.
I did, yes, parachuting. Yeah, not advisable. None of that, neither of those things, actually. No, it's funny with that because obviously, like I said, I hadn't wanted to present anything.
Yeah.
But I was acting for about 5 years and had Soph on the way, and then realised that whenever I went to an audition, all the girls who looked like me were at the audition again, because there's not much of a meritocracy in that business. So I thought, well, maybe I could do a bit of presenting, because although Jigsaw I thought was an acting role, there were bits sort of top and tailing the programme where we spoke directly to camera, and people used to go, I've thought of presenting, which I thought was an immense slur on my talent. But then I thought, well, maybe I could do a bit. And the agent I was then with said, well, I've heard that Sarah Green is leaving Blue Peter. And I kind of went, no, I don't mean that sort of presenting. But actually, it's quite weird with Blue Peter, because in those days, we were all ex-actors.
Right.
And so the structure of the programme was familiar in a weird way, because it was always live, and we didn't have autocue. So we had to learn our scripts the night before the programme, which every time I say that makes me sound older and older, because it's such a weird thing to ask people to do.
Yeah.
You film, the studio Monday and Thursdays. That means Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, you're likely to be filming quite a long way from London, often, and then come back and learn a script for a live show. So, yeah. But what that means is that I think the frontal lobes of my brain are really good. I can remember things very quickly, but I can't remember anything else.
Well, you're remembering a lot of stuff. I mean, I think it's interesting when you talk to people about, the early part of their career. So a lot of people don't remember anything about it, whereas you have good memories for this stuff. You remember very specific things
nice.
about Doctor Who. So that's pretty incredible.
It was also
it was such a big thing, Blue Peter.
Yeah, it was huge.
Then at that point, you were coming in.
I was nearly 25 years old when I joined.
Right.
So and also about 2 weeks after I joined, both the cats died, and I had to. It's very sad, actually. I had to announce their deaths.
Was it in a suicide pact, or was it just a coincidence? Just both of them.
All I know is they really didn't want to be on television, so maybe it was that. But yeah, it was such an odd thing, because I'd actually my dad was in the army, so I'd moved around quite a lot when I was little. So I'd seen Blue Peter sometimes, but I wasn't a sort of regular right the way through viewer. But you couldn't escape it. It was part of my childhood anyway, even if I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, strange thing to catch that wagon.
And so, when you look back on it, do you think it was? I mean, obviously, because that's become such a big part of who you are.
Yeah.
And how people think of you. Was that decision? Do you think you're pleased you made that decision to go to Blue Peter?
Luckily, I am. Yeah, seriously, I am. Yeah. When I went for the audition, and obviously you go for an audition, you want to be offered the job. You want it to be your choice if you don't do it. But I did actually think this feels right to me, and I think partly because it was live, which is such a fabulous way of working, and also because it was kind of unpredictable in a weird way, even though it was very tightly scripted. There was something quite loose about it. And also, this is a really lucky thing, and it sounds very twee, but I actually became really good friends with the people I work with, and that's not a given. You don't have to, it's just a job. But we did all really get on nicely. We didn't actually live together. Some people think we lived in a little house and just came out to do the programmes. But we did actually become genuinely good friends, which is a bonus. Yes. So luckily, yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to talk about it.